Dawn was rising over the taiga. A middle-aged man in a worn green uniform stood trembling as he brewed a mug of herbal tea. He'd worked as a ranger for years, ever since his wife and only daughter burned alive in an old Khrushchevka on the outskirts of the capital. But tonight, something happened that made his heart pound like it was trying to crack his ribcage again. On his usual patrol, as the dusk swallowed the forest, he spotted strange silhouettes moving among the old trees. He couldn't tell what they were doing. He opened his mouth to call out but was gripped by a sudden primal fear. His gut twisted with dread. He took a step back. The dry snap of a branch under his boot gave him away. The shadows froze, listening. Then they turned and what he saw made the blood drain from his face. Those weren't people. Twisted figures with black, distorted faces stared back at him. He ran. Fast. As fast as his legs could carry him. He didn't stop until he reached his cabin, long after nightfall. Now, holding a hot mug with both hands, trying to steady his breath, he glanced nervously out the window. No one seemed to be following. He let out a sigh. He thought he was safe. Then, a violent crash. Shattering glass. A flock of northern birds exploded into the night sky. Something had smashed through the window and hit the floor with a sickening thud. A bear's head, skinned, picked clean. And outside, the shadows were dancing, laughing, beating on the walls. His scream, raw with pain and terror, vanished into the endless forest. The phone rang just as I was finishing my coffee. Durov speaking, I answered. Hey Denis, how are you? Hello Colonel, I said leaning back. I'm great actually, enjoying my well-earned time off. Tell me something, he said. You wouldn't happen to be interested in a trip to a sanatorium, would you? Where exactly, I asked. Come over and I'll tell you. Same place as always. I'll be waiting. Click, I muttered. Guess the evening just got interesting. Well, what else did I expect? Working in this line of duty. If they're pulling me in mid-vacation, it's no routine job. Outside, the evening air was crisp, the sky perfectly clear. Rush hour was picking up, so I decided to head out quickly to avoid traffic. The drive was uneventful. My superior, Colonel Pyotr Sergeyevich, was already waiting on the steps of our, let's say, very special facility. Good evening, Colonel, I said, shaking his hand. Welcome back, Denis. How was your break? Like a fairy tale. So, what's the job? I asked, skipping the small talk. Here's the situation, he said. In a settlement called Parma, up in the Usinsk region, a forest ranger has vanished, completely. Just a few days before the end of his shift, he stopped responding on the radio. The guy was a veteran, solid, experienced. At first, we thought his batteries had died. But when his replacement arrived, they went looking for him. Found a cabin with a smashed window. Door wide open. No one inside. They combed 7 square kilometers of forest. Nothing, not a trace. And those guys know the taiga like the back of their hand. He paused, then gave me that look. Here's what I'm thinking, we send you in. Posing as the new ranger. Not as an investigator. Just a man on rotation. Because guys like that, they don't just go missing in the woods. Something's off. Figure out what, and report back. All papers and logistics will be ready by morning. He flicked his cigarette into the trash. Understood, Comrade General, I replied. On the way home my thoughts were spinning. Back to the forest again. I never minded nature, in fact. From my experience, the most bizarre and chilling things always happen deep in the wild. But new territory means new dangers. And once again I was being sent to find someone who'd gone missing. Another case, another ghost trail. When I got home, I barely had time to kick off my shoes before I crashed. Tomorrow would be long, and I needed rest. The endless travel had long since become routine flights, transfers, packing and unpacking just part of the job now. I woke up without an alarm, as usual. Ham sandwiches, black coffee, nothing fancy. Then I grabbed my documents and headed out early. Within a couple of hours, I was staring out a plane window, lost in the clouds, and drifted off somewhere mid-flight. I woke just before landing. Checked the route thanks to the plane's navigation system. As I walked to the parking lot, I spotted a short, round man leaning against a black Lada. His face was kind, warm, the type you could talk to without feeling watched. "Good day," I said. "You think we can get to Teremok? I'll pay 500. "Why not?" he smiled. "Throw your bags in the back. Tourist or work trip?" "Business," I replied, shutting the door. "What kind of work?" the driver asked, too curious to let it go. "I'm the new forest ranger, replacing the last one." "Out by the far sector?" he asked, eyebrows rising. "Yeah, that's the one." "Why?" "Well, people been saying for over a year now, animals are being found ripped apart: wolves, rabbits, even bears. The cops opened the case, but the investigator handling it was found dead in his own apartment, covered in blood. They say his body looked like he'd gone through a meat grinder. Man, taxi drivers, all you need to do is make small talk and suddenly you've got a full report." But I didn't interrupt. I let him keep going. Then people started disappearing. Mushroom pickers, hunters. Some of them were found days later, laughing like lunatics. They kept muttering the same thing that over near the old bogs, devils were playing games. "What do you mean, playing games?" I couldn't help asking. "I mean literally. Sitting around, tossing human bones like dice. The ones they found alive, straight to the psych ward, special observation. But others, they were found hanging by their own skin. People don't go near that place anymore." "How do you know all this? And in such detail?" I asked. "Kid," he said, "drive a taxi around here long enough, you hear it all. Who knows what's real, what's not? But something's off in that far sector." "That old ranger, Yefimich, the one who disappeared? He was my ex-wife's cousin. I'd bet on it something took him." I stayed quiet, but I made a mental note. The guy might have been chatty, but there was too much detail to ignore. "Oh, here we are. Teremok. Nice place, they say." He was right. The hotel looked like something from an old Russian fairy tale: timber walls, carved stone, a shadow of the past with just enough modern comfort. Wi-Fi, television, the basics. Tonight, I could rest. I didn't need to meet the forest management or start my shift until tomorrow. But first, food. The hotel had its own restaurant, and it looked solid judging by the reviews. I headed down. The dining hall matched the hotel-style Slavic woodwork, soft music, few people, a calm oasis after the packed chaos of Moscow. I ordered a full meal and 150 grams of vodka, then sat back, taking in the dim, atmospheric interior. After eating well and warming my blood, I stepped outside for a smoke, Saturday on a bench beside a trash can. "Ah, there you are," came a voice. I turned. A young man in a green military jacket stood nearby. "I'm listening," I said. "You're our new ranger, right?" he asked, unsure. "Maybe. Who's asking?" "Sorry. I'm Sergei Dmitrievich, assistant to the forest director." He offered a handshake. "Nice to meet you," I replied. "Andrei Starkov." That's the alias they gave me for this assignment, luckily, I remembered. "So why are you looking for me?" "My boss is out of town, and he asked me to get you up to speed and escort you to your post." "All right," I nodded. "Enlighten me." "Our reserve is huge, split into sectors. First, second, third, and so on. You're assigned to Sector 7, the last one. It borders the so-called Devil Swamp." "Is it true," I interrupted, "that people go missing there?" "So you've heard," he said quietly. "Well, yeah, it's true. People vanish. But this isn't a city park, it's ancient taiga. Old wild places. You've gotta stay sharp out there." "Sounds fun," I muttered. I pulled a flask and a couple of metal shot glasses from my backpack. A meal like this deserved a proper drink. I hadn't even finished the thought when a sharp burst of barking echoed from outside. Silently, I reached for my TT pistol, racked the slide with a quiet clack, and moved to the door. Footsteps, then a knock. "Who is it?" I asked calmly. "Hey man, open up. I'm one of yours, ranger from Sector 5. Got stuck out fishing. Was heading back, saw the light, figured I'd drop by." I eased the safety back on, stepped over the boots by the door, and opened it. A stocky man stood there, short black hair, withered face, dressed in a worn camouflage jacket. An old shotgun rested across his shoulder. "Mikhail," he said, offering his hand. "Andrei," I replied with a smile, shaking it. "Come in. You're just in time, the potatoes are sizzling." "Well, damn, this kind of welcome I could get used to," he chuckled, settling in at the table. We raised a shot, smoked, and drifted into easy conversation. "So you're the one taking over for Petrovich, huh? Damn shame. He was a good man." "Hold on," I said. "I thought he just went missing, not dead." Mikhail took a bite of crispy potato, chewed slowly, and said, "Around here, if someone goes missing, it means they're dead." "Let's drink," I said, forcing a smile and lifting my glass. "To us," Misha replied, clinking his shot and tossing it back. "Listen," he leaned in, "just between us, I was here right after the old man disappeared. They pulled us from all sectors for an emergency fix-up. We arrived, walked up to the cabin, and man, it was a fucking nightmare, excuse my French. One window frame left, the front door swinging open. And inside," he paused, shaking his head. "Every wall, the floor, the ceiling splattered with blood. Like someone butchered a pig right there. But there was no one around. Nothing. Nobody. Our district cop Fedya took one look, puked, and fainted. Later, the head of the local precinct came with his guys, poking around, sniffing at clues. Even had a detective with them, seemed like a smart one too. But nothing came of it. Just paper. And then that same detective vanished. Just like the old man." "Yeah, I know," I said. "The cab driver mentioned something like that." Misha nodded, poured himself another shot. "Well, I'm off to sleep. Don't want to wander the woods alone at night. You take the couch, Andrei. You're a solid guy." "I know," I muttered, pulling on my work overalls. "Got a patrol tomorrow, though. Otherwise we'd keep the fire going." "I'll come with you," he said, smiling. "Might as well show you around." "Sure," I nodded. I kicked off my boots and crashed on the spare bed in the next room. Sleep didn't come easy. I kept turning over everything I'd heard that day. Then I remembered the journal, the one I'd found stuffed behind the firewood with a pile of old yellow newspapers. I pulled it from the chest pocket of my jacket and started reading. April 23rd, 2018. Arrived for shift, settled in, cleaned up the grounds. Nothing out of the ordinary so far. Patrol tomorrow. April 24th. Went out for a round. My dog Demian didn't sleep a wink last night. Pacing, whining, tail down. Just kept staring at me with those eyes. He knows something. April 25th. God help me. I've seen some shit, but nothing like this. Out near the old marsh, I found 4 lynxes. Skinned clean. No blood. No tracks. That's not possible. I know these woods. I know how animals leave signs. April 26th. Something's wrong. Last night someone or something was walking around the cabin, knocking. It sounded like someone throwing a sickle against the walls. I'm losing it. The radio's dead. I'm completely alone. I'm a grown man, but I feel like a kid again, scared stiff. I read with goosebumps crawling across my arms. This was all happening in the very cabin I was in. I'd seen my share of strange things, but this was different. And then snap, the lights went out. Perfect timing. My heart jumped. I realized I'd left my flashlight in the kitchen, and the guns. I moved fast, groping through the dark, trying not to trip. Behind me, I heard Misha stir. "Andrei, the power's out?" he mumbled. I didn't have time to answer before thud our heads collided in the dark. "Damn it," I muttered, rubbing my forehead. Misha chuckled nervously. And then, we heard it. A laugh. Outside. It wasn't a man's laugh, or a woman's. It sounded wrong. Like something circling the house, barely making a sound except a faint crunch of moss underfoot. Pure, raw dread. Misha peeked out the window and instantly fell back, scrambling away. pointing with a shaking finger. Shapes. Moving shapes. I reach for the rifle and fire it straight through the window. Silence. Then distant footsteps. Receding. A strange whispering rustle that didn't belong to any animal I knew. What the hell was that? I asked, breathing hard. Feels like a shitty horror movie from the 90s, Misha said, still on the floor. And don't forget, you signed up to go on patrol today, pal. Damn right, I said, cycling the bolt with a click. Shit, he muttered. You think they cut the power? Only one way to find out. I grabbed the flashlight. Fear faded into cold curiosity. We stepped out into the dark. The forest was unnervingly still. No sign of anyone. As we approached the shed where the generator was kept, Misha suddenly called out. Andrei, get over here, you need to see this for yourself. What the hell is all this blue crap? Misha muttered, glancing at me. To be honest, I was just as stunned. The entire place was covered in a chemical reagent tone specifically designed to eliminate biological traces, and that raised two immediate red flags. First, this stuff is only used by professionals or people with serious money. If it was some government op, then why all the theatrics? Why the masquerade? And if it's rich folks, then why here, in the middle of nowhere? None of it made sense. Dawn slowly began to break. We decided to move out, but not before giving the house one last thorough inspection. We found nothing new. We sealed the windows with steel sheets and headed out. Misha, where's your shotgun? I asked, grinning. Ah, hell, he groaned and trudged back to the house. Let's go, he said a moment later, now fully geared up. The old forest exhaled a cold breath. A faint breeze carried with it a sickly sweet scent like rotting meat. The further we walked, the stronger it became. Eventually we found the source, a collapsed ravine covered in forest debris. As we brushed away the blackened branches, Misha turned and vomited. Before us lay the flayed carcass of a bear, its belly sliced open, organs gone. No bullet holes, no wounds, suggesting a struggle. Well, isn't that just perfect? Misha muttered. And not a single shot fired. Turns out, that wasn't going to be the last surprise of the day. We photographed the site and marked it on our map. The trail we followed weaved through swampy hollows choked with green slime, slowing us down. The moss underfoot was slick and springy. By the time we reached the old graveyard, the sun was low. The place was overgrown, moss-covering mounds that once were graves. And then we froze. Some of the graves had been dug up, not collapsed, dug out, carefully. And inside, nothing. No bones, no remains. What the hell is going on here? Misha whispered, crossing himself with a trembling hand. There was no logic to any of it. Just a string of events that defied explanation. As dusk fell, we reached the bed of a long-dried river. Night took over, bringing with it the sounds of a different world. Our flashlights barely pierced the darkness, but it was better than nothing. By the time we reached the boundary of my assigned sector, it was 10 in the evening. Ahead of us lay the swamp. We killed the lights and let our eyes adjust. That's when we noticed vague outlines of buildings beyond the thinning trees. The moonlight trickled through the branches, casting pale glimmers on what looked like houses. Hey, what's that? I asked in a low voice. That's an old village. Been off the maps for about 40 years, Misha replied. Abandoned, huh? Then why are there lights in the windows? I asked. What lights? Misha squinted. Shit, you're right. There are lights. What the hell? No one from the locals would come here. There's nothing to take. And outsiders don't even know this place exists, he muttered, staring at the crooked silhouettes of the buildings. Maybe we should just turn back, huh? So enough for today. No, Misha, we need to check it out, I said firmly. What do you mean we? Are you insane? I'm, FSB, I told him. I'm investigating the disappearance of the gamekeeper and the death of a federal agent. You're what? Jesus Christ. What the hell did I get myself into? Misha groaned. Relax. Don't start digging your grave just yet, I said with a smirk. Misha sighed. You think they'll give me a medal or something? If not, I'll carve you one out of wood myself. But seriously, I'll make sure you're rewarded. Okay. But let's wait for dawn, yeah? He was clearly rattled but holding it together. And then things took a darker turn. From the houses, shapes began to emerge, figures moving in the moonlight. We heard the creak of wooden doors and hinges. It made our skin crawl. The silhouettes shuffled around, carrying things in and out of the houses. They looked human, but their forms were covered in sticks and leaves. I looked closer and realized they were wearing ghillie suits. But who were they, and why? We stayed hidden and kept watch till dawn. They were moving sacks and crates, busy but not chaotic. I had no intention of provoking a fight. Off to the side I spotted a few camouflage traps, classic bear traps partially buried. Misha noticed them too, and pointed out strange bundles of sticks that likely hid more of them. As the sun rose, I handed Misha my carbine. Here, take this. Leave your shotgun here, you might lose it in the muck. I'll log the carbine officially later, I said with a grin. Misha took it. Got any grenades while you're at it? He joked. No, left those in the fridge at home. We hacked off some branches and advanced into the swamp. Sparse pines and stunted birches loomed over a sticky, foul-smelling ground. We moved in single file, using sticks to feel our way through. Thankfully, after 10 minutes of slogging, we reached solid land. Up close, the houses were much larger and more sinister. The stench was worse burnt hair mixed with scorched fat. I took my pistol off safety. I stood on one side of the door, Misha on the other. I grabbed the handle and yanked it open. Something whistled through the air, a hatchet, flying straight at me. I dodged, pulled the trigger. My pistol barked once. A figure in rags collapsed. I swept the room with my flashlight. The floor was littered with white, clean human bones. Farther in, my jaw dropped. On a table sat chess pieces intricately carved, polished. And judging by the material, they were made of bone. Mother of God, Misha whispered. I rushed to the body and pulled off the mask. Just a regular man. Jesus. What the hell? Misha mumbled. We're in deep shit. Not the time to panic, I said. Worry about making it out alive. Outside, the chaos was beginning. More people in ghillie suits emerged, carrying weapons heading our way. Thankfully, it wasn't a large group. We opened fire. Misha wasn't shy with his carbine. In less than a minute it was over. One of them was only wounded. We managed to interrogate him. Turns out, this was an illegal operation, harvesting animal organs, fat and pelts, and also producing interior pieces made of human remains. They dug up the cemetery and created this whole mystique to scare off locals, make them believe something supernatural lived in the forest. The next day, I was back in Moscow, delivering my report. The general was waiting, as always, on the bench near the entrance. Good day, Comrade General. Mission accomplished, I said, sitting beside him. Good to see you, Dennis. You cracked it fast, he said. I gave it everything, I replied. I read the materials, but tell me in your own words. I nodded. It was a black market operation. Everything from poaching to crafting bone souvenirs. They desecrated an old cemetery nearby, tried to make the locals think the forest was cursed. Damn, that's a new one, the general muttered. And the locals who disappeared? Also them. No fingerprints, no DNA, like they were ghosts. Not every beast wears a beast's skin, the general said grimly. Well done, Dennis. You earned yourself a week off. More than enough, I said with a smile, shaking his hand. Oh, and Denishu was the ringleader? Director of the local forestry commission, I said, stepping into my car. The whole mysticism cover, that was his idea. The general nodded and walked off. I shut the door and headed home. As for Misha, I didn't forget him. Pulled a few strings. Got him a nice post as head of a forestry unit in the Urals. As for Mule, time to rest. New cases are always just around the corner.